Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha ha. How is everyone tonight? We got people rolling in. Hi, Nika. Hi, Marla. Hi, Joan. How you all doing? Well, I tell you, I hope I got a good signal. If I don't, I have to open up my window. And man, pneumonia weather, as Mr. T says. Ha 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 ha. I don't want to catch that. But you all know I get a little raspy when we get this Indian summer and then cold weather. Got me a load of wood, fire fireplace going. Well, actually, I put a stove in my fireplace, and that's where Sadie is curled up in front of the stove. That's where I ought to be. But anyway, how you doing, Michigan Lifestyle? Andrew, how you doing, B Dog? Jones here. Nikki said hit the like button. Yeah, make sure you do that. How you doing, Linda? Leisha, Lucy, how you doing? Sherry's here. Henri gave me my thumbs up. Mary Freeland's here. Hi, Doc. Quilt. Doc said I got 5x5. That's good. That's good. Well, I tell you, I watched a lot of us watch the same shows. Let me get this microphone out of here. Sound or not? You probably won't hear my raspy voice as much. Um, but anyway, I watched a creator a lot of us watch this morning. I didn't get to watch the show last night. I'll tell you what it is. It's called X, and the rest is 2-2. Okay. And daggone if he didn't have the same title I had. But I had two different titles when I did a Bumble Jump. I could say like opponents on Utizzle, I could say adversaries, but on Bumble, I put the ENEMIES, okay? And the rest is me, enemies, right? I can say it quick like that, get away with it. Hi, Angel, how you doing? Sissy, how are you? Michigan lifestyle. Yeah, I was going to say, I was watching other shows, and of course, we all cover the same subjects, but that's got to be pretty big news about it up there in Michigan. You all thrown out that one set of board members in a county messing around with the CCP. How you doing, Alan? So that's what's got to be done. All politics is local. Now, I put in my title the name of a book, and I put it in there real slick. Excuse me, I just had to get a sip of my coffee, get my throat straightened out. The name of a book, and I had to put it in slick because I guarantee you they're going to make that a book you can't talk about. And it's called Double Cross, right? And in parentheses, I got fire, double cross fire. And that's the only time I'm going to say it without saying it in a kind of a twisted way. That's the title of the book. Y'all make note of it, or make note of the fact that at the 3-minute and 30-second mark, I talked about it. And we're going to get into that. And I put it in my title so you all can just pull the video up and you'll see that in the title and you'll know what book I'm talking about. It was written by a brigadier general named A.J. Tata. And we'll talk about it here in a little bit. I'm going to go over some of the stuff. Now, what's bigger than Trump? What could be bigger than Trump? Well, we'll talk about that too. This isn't about Trump. And we're going to be having conversations with people who are so used to being part of the nanny boo boo, Trump is no good. Those people are going to start becoming around. And we've got to let them know to let go of that petty anger towards Trump. I would use the HAT and then E word, but that's another one that gets me. Because this isn't about Trump, but we need him. And we got to be able to communicate that to people. It's like he says, he's being indicted, he's being tried, he's going through what he's going through for us in our standing. Because if they get away with what they're doing to him, man, the bureaucrats will eat us alive in the future and our progeny. They're doing it now. They're doing it now. Back in the 70s, half the stuff these local governments get away with would have never flown in towns and counties. But they're doing it now, and everybody's just following along like little sheep. Nancy Drew had a bad headache. Well, she was documenting some stuff that is happening in D.C. Looks like there's some renovations going on, but they're going to have to get Father Amorth in there to do exorcism. I mean, he's really got to take some vitamins and get himself pumped up and ready, because they are legion, and they certainly exist in DC. Oh, you can keep the sound going, Michigan, so you can listen to us while you're canning all your stuff. Where's Robin? She was canning. I haven't seen her in a while. Hope she's doing all right. Hope all y'all doing all right. Rhino Nation passed away. I'll be darned. I never watched it. Didn't know he's just, well, I tell you, that's what I'm saying. You know, precious time. I always say it. I try to say it every night. Precious time. And like Mr. T said, one speech he did say it. You know, who knows if we're going to live to see the end of this. And we're blessed, and in a truly singular time in human history. Remember that and embrace it. Don't be afraid. Don't be frustrated. Don't curse the day. Don't curse the day. I was dealing with a guy the other day. It rained. Well, the other day, it was yesterday, rained, and you act like it rained just to get him wet. You know, never mind the rest of the reasons for rain. Like they say, if you want a rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. You got to deal with the rain. And dealing with the rain doesn't mean sitting there getting soaking wet and cursing the world. Dealing with the rain says, oh, you put on a nice hat, or oh, you go in a nice home that you built or bought and paid for, and you look at the beautiful rain. You deal with it. So that's right, Hilarious. And I want to thank you, Hilarious, for buying me coffee earlier. Popped up out of the blue and perked me up and made my day. I thank you so much. And I thank Nikki for helping me. And C. Jankiv, I'm putting it on the screen. This week, I had Hilarious and Nikki and C. Jankiv from Canada, our friends from Canada. So I appreciate that. It's been kind of slow on that front. So I'll put up a list of all my friends in the Buy Me a Coffee later on the program. Well, Henri said the one about election fraud. Oh, what's that? The book? No, the book is Nikki's post. Yeah. Oh, I know, sissy. When you least expect it, you snap your finger and things can change just that quick. So it is our precious time. I'm just scrolling through the chats here. Hi, Red. How you doing? So anyway, Peter Nygaard. I'll say his name one time without scrambling it up. I just said it. And if y'all make mention of what he was involved in, make sure you scramble it up. But for those that don't know, the person I just mentioned was notorious for having, you know what the abbreviation for culture is? Like I talked about Pope John Paul talking about the culture of death. The abbreviation for culture is CULT, right? Uh, at least for my purposes, talking on this broadcast. Well, this individual that I mentioned, NYGARD, boy, I saw a picture of him. He looked like something out of a movie, some kind of evil old creature villain from Tales of the Crypt. But anyway, he ran a S3X club, right? And they got busted. Now, this is just the beginning of the story. I'll tell it real quick. And the club name was NEX, okay? And the rest of it is IUM. Sounds like some kind of nasal spray or something. But anyway, this cult got in trouble for taking advantage of human beings and trafficking human beings. And 2 defendants already had been sentenced to jail. One of them was the heir to the Seagram's fortune, and another one was she was a star on the series Smallville. So I'm just giving that background just in case people that listen to me by chance, if they think I'm making stuff up or making things more dramatic, you don't put people like that in jail over nothing. Television stars and heiresses, okay? So he also was tied to a little party, a party, a party at the White House. Who was president then? Oh, I know. Obama. He was president then. When was the party? It was like 2:00 in the morning. Wow. A snap of the finger request for, quote, catering. And the bill was what, $60,000? $60,000. And the type of food they ordered was code words a lot of people have pointed out and shown to mean just what they got arrested and got in trouble for. Namely, this guy I'm talking about, the Smallville star, and the Seagram's heiress. They delivered one of their parties to the White House at 2 a.m. for $60,000. And I think we're going to hear about that. But anyway, his case is going to a jury. Maybe it got decided. I don't know. But I watched a video on it. And we'll see how that works out for him. You're quite welcome, sissy. Oh, I see, Mary. He had trouble breathing. I get a little wheezy sometimes too. Rubber Toe, how you doing? So, oops, wait a minute, my chats are jumping around. Hi, Diamond, how you doing? Pappy Two Bears, ha ha ha, nice to see you. So anyway, I am thinking that we all know things are popping off. We're really, even people like us who have gotten a heads up about some of this stuff for years and really upset that people wouldn't see it. And many of us spend hours and hours and hours going to sites and probably pumping too much stuff in our heads but the stuff that was real is bad enough. And well, with this frustration of people not seeing and knowing what we see, what we have seen and know, is coming to an end. So we got to organize and focus our thoughts on explaining it in a way that people can grasp. Okay, so we stay away from the real fantastic stuff, but I think that it boils down. I could say that what we're getting ready to see, because right now we got a manhunt going on. I wasn't going to put open season in my thumbnail before I put the title of that book. Okay. Open season on you know who, PATRIOTS, right? Open season. So they're hunting this guy in the woods in New Jersey, I guess the Pine Barrens. And I heard that he sprayed somebody with mace at J6. That's why they're after him. Why they waited so long, I don't know. But apparently he saw it coming. He got the heck out of there. Now, if he was not a paid agitator, I certainly hope he can manage this, whatever he's trying to do, in such a way that he does not get harmed. But if some of the examples we have seen of when they zero in on somebody replays itself, I guess I would try to hide out too, But maybe he's got some kind of setup somewhere deep in the woods that, where he can have shelter and food and stuff like that. But he's not going to see any relief for months and months, if not a year. But so with this stuff going on, we have to keep in mind to not give them a reason by our words or our deeds. We don't give them, all they need is a shoddy excuse to do anything from silence us to the ultimate. And you know what I'm talking about, what happened to that elderly man before dawn. So we got to keep a level head. But I think that some of the things that are going to be coming out that we got to be prepared to explain to people. There's a big story out that some sheriffs in California, 4 of them, I believe, in a 48-hour period, had committed you-know-what-aside. Okay? We're going to find out more about that. Very bizarre, very odd. But it reminds me of things that I think are going to be coming out in in a public way. Maybe the J6 trial with Mr. T, I don't know, or maybe before, is how we had so many Capitol police officers do the same thing to themselves within days of J, and then the number is 6. 4 of them at least, right? And that also organize your mind to think about all the New York police officers that saw that Anthony Weiner laptop. There's 3 instances right there of members of law enforcement, multiple members of law enforcement. This sheriff's situation that just happened, the New York City police officers, and the Capitol Hill police officers. Any rational person that you tell that to, it's fact, it's in the news, it's indisputable, it's not a con theory, if you know what I'm saying. Any rational person would make their antennas go up. So if that gets discussed or we get information disclosed about that, that's going to be a shock to a lot of people's systems. They get them to think one of the slaps in the face that I talked about in the past. I said, I don't know how many times, nobody cares until their ox is getting gored. All right, we're going to see that with the economy. We're going to see that with gas prices. We're going to see that with certain people in certain areas are going to be worried about civil unrest. We're going to see certain people in certain areas who are going to be worried about kinetic conflict with foreign powers. Okay. But when people start hearing stuff like all these members of law enforcement in different strange situations that are tied to the government, that's going to shake them up too. That's going to make their ox a little worried. The other thing that is ongoing, slowly coming out, as evidenced by the very low percentage of people who are getting updates, I'll put it that way, updates in their shoulder is very small. But the info that's going to be coming out about that is going to be another smack in the face. But I brought up that book, Double Cross, and the rest of the word is fire, because in that book, it's supposed to be fictional, written by this brigadier general, retired, and it discusses a senator, a female, in this fictional book, like a thriller, right, is plotting to gain the presidency of the United States by eliminating the president, the vice president, and the Speaker of the House. So it's in its 3rd printing. The book was written in 2019. It's starting to catch fire because the author said there's a nonfiction story within the fictional story. Okay? That's right, Nikki. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nikki. Bubba, how you doing, Bubba? Gary, how you doing, Gary? Like I remember Gary said we got to, what was that? He was, we got to buy stock in straight jackets for what's coming up. People are, that's what I'm trying to talk about. I'm talking about how we can talk to people who are going to get one. They're going to have some of them are going to have conniptions over DJT getting back in office. And we got to get them over that hump if they're salvageable, friends and family members. Two, they're going to start absorbing the things that I'm talking about before some of you got into the broadcast. Hi, Rick. How are you doing? Hi, Sandy. Invested in asylums. Yeah. In straitjackets. So, but anyway, that was one thing that I pointed out a few months back. When it's disclosed and proven that there were multiple attempts on Mr. T, and people get exposed if they've already been detained. We know a lot of us feel that some people may be being replaced with masked actors. Holy cow! Gary came back with a big booms. Give me some booms in there for Gary for buy me a coffee. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. Wow, it must be because it didn't work the other night. So here's my list of people in the Buy Me a Coffee Club. I got to add Julie and Karen and Zaza, and to this week it's Gary, Hilarious 2, C. Jankiv, and Nikki B. So for this week's shows, I do appreciate all y'all's help. And I got a link in the description if anybody wants to help the channel out. Well, since I got kicked off in the Rumble, it was pretty, thank you, Nikki, for giving me the boom, boom, booms for Gary. Gary said, you're welcome. So anyway, I think that there is scenarios where people have been, at the very least, taken aside, busted, given a choice, and they've submitted and are cooperating. And I would not be surprised if some people were so heinous in what they were doing that the mask situation with an actor, temporarily replacing to march us through this process, that may very well be the case too. But we're getting ready for some big disclosures. And I don't know if it's going to be next year. I've always said to watch out for Christmas. That's always been the historically, there have been big military operations. We've seen many times George Washington on a Durham boat crossing the Delaware. That was Christmas Eve. We've gotten that I don't know how many times. And we got Christmas coming up. Is it going to be this Christmas or next Christmas? I don't know. Let me see. Camperman said, oh, it's blinking in and out. Sorry to hear that. Well, we're glad you're with us, Camperman. Lone Wolf, how you doing? Lone Wolf, you're on that coffee list too. Ha ha ha. Oh, okay. Your computer? Okay. Yeah, we rely on these things. I'll get me a one of those radios. What do you call ham radio? Give you all the frequency. If we got to do that. Hi, Sandy. Oh, let's see. I'm just looking through, and a lot of senators and congressmen said they will not run again. That's right. Joe Manchin is the last one. Hi, Zan. How you doing? Joe Manchin is the last one that announced he's not going to run, and the one before that was Mittens Romney. And I was thinking, I can't be too rough on people who are slow to wake up, because last week I was like, I'm sick of this. They can jump off a bridge. I don't want to talk to people anymore about that aren't awake yet. But now, in hindsight, how much time did I spend? How much time did I waste putting up John McCain signs, John McCain bumper stickers, Romney bumper stickers, George W. Bush bumper stickers, arguing with friends, go to a bar, have a beer, getting a big to-do over Dick Cheney. And, so I was just as big a chump. So that's why I give them a pass, right? And so what my focus now is documenting the things. And of course, we all want to listen with a sharp ear to what Mr. T is saying, so we can kind of see through the looking glass as to what's going to be next. By all indications, we got to march through these court cases. This is going to be a continuation of exposing people. Eileen Cannon, she did not extend the trial date for Mr. T on the Florida case, Jack Smith's Florida case. But she did rule that the prosecution has to do more and produce more. One thing I pointed out that they produced that the news media did not cover, and a lot of people missed, was that they filed papers with the court that confirmed Donald Trump had the highest clearance you could get, which was Q clearance. And that's the only time I'm going to say that letter, because I'm repeating a news report. The other thing I heard was that they would not hand over all the CCTV cameras, the closed circuit television of the Mar-a-Lago raid that they were going to use against Trump. And the judge said, well, why won't you? And the attorney for the government said, well, one of the cameras was just, it was just focused on a wall. So, for example, so why should we provide that? I thought about that. Why wouldn't you not want to? Did somebody slip over that wall carrying something? Sneaking something in the property? Well, now they got to turn it all over. And it doesn't matter. Well, it matters to find out who's trying to hide, obstruct justice, and frame Trump, that we catch those people. But we know that the Secret Service and the military has all the TV footage around that compound all the time. They have it all. But the fact that they're trying to exclude or hide footage at all tells you a little something right there. So we'll see what pops out time after time. But I covered now the things we have to discuss is the you-know-what-asides, people that self-delete themselves that are documented. California sheriffs, 4 of them within 48 hours of each other. New York City cops that saw the Wiener laptop. How many of them? Half a dozen. Capitol police officers that went home, were not injured, did not have any problem. 4 or 5 of them. I also went over. There's going to be disclosures. We know, we read reports that were verified of the attempts on Mr. T and his family members, and many of us got our antennas up over his ex-wife's demise, Ivana. And we've already gone over the situation with the Fauci ouchie. We know how to discuss that in a rational way with people. And I think the big one is going to be what's happening with the little ones. Marsha Blackburn wanted to know about the location of 85,000 children crossing the border they cannot account for. And at the same time, you have this brothel bust, okay? And I discussed about Chuck Schumer, where it was disclosed in the drops that he was going to have to face the music. And there were articles put up about Heidi Fleiss, the same type of thing that they busted people for yesterday. The brothel, trafficking people of Asian descent. And there were like 3 brothers running it. One of them's got a name like Alan Lee. The other ones, I can't say their first names. It's all ends in Lee. But just imagine some spoons and forks getting thrown down the steps, and that's what their first names are. But they're the ones running it, and it's extensive. So apparently they need a replacement since Ghislaine is no longer in the business. We know about Heidi Fleiss. We know about Ghislaine Maxwell. We know about Jeffrey Epstein. And now we know about this brothel. And you can bet dollars to donuts that there were people that were not of age involved. That tied together with the horrors that are going to be exposed by some of these laboratories in colleges that have been buying certain things from PP, okay, planned, and the other half is parenthood. That details of that are probably not all going to come out, but there will be enough details to shock the conscience of the world. So those are the big ticket items that we need to focus on. It is big ticket that they are persecuting Trump. That is something that's not being hidden. It's being laid out for the world to see. The world sees him being charged with flimsy charges. The world sees manhunts for people over this J6 thing. But the undercurrents that are going to pop up, the 4 or 5 things I just talked about, when we get answers on that stuff. So it'll be interesting. And I don't know if any of you all have heard about, hi, Reba. whether there was a verdict or not with this Peter not whoop Nygard, right? Oh, they were. Gary said the flight manifestos to the island were all uncovered and disclosed today. They figured with Ghislaine Maxwell's case, there were 400 victims underage that they can document, and 0 arrests for the adults involved. Hi, Zan. Oh, Zan, welcome to the channel, but you can't use that word because I get it's a long story, honey. If your comment disappears, keywords we got to be careful because they're taking channels down right and left if you talk about without using special words, talking about selection, right? Okay, FRAUD. If you use a word like BALLET, you use a 4 for the A. Instead of an A, you put a 4. And that way it doesn't show up in the rhythm. Okay? Zan, I appreciate you. Appreciate you. But if you get that comment down, because it comes out with the mods automatically sometimes, you just got to wait a little bit to come back into the chats. No biggie. Tennessee, let's see. Oh, my word, you got divorced. Well, it's a new chapter, if you look at it that way. So, yeah, I didn't catch that about the were they doctored? Were they redacted, the flight logs? But we're waiting for the client list, the black book. That's all right, Zan. Don't worry about it, honey. 166 pages online, Alan said. We're close to all coming down. The whole rotten structure is just going to collapse around their heads. And that's a good thing. Well, just remember, folks, keep that in the back of your mind. See if you can get a hold of that book. Sold out. It's in its third printing. He wrote it in 2019. Nobody really knew about it. Now the word's getting out. By Jan Halper Hayes. Remember her? The Lady in Orange. So she's helping to get that book going. So we got this brothel thing going on. Man, there's at least 20 politicians involved. I was going to put that we know that to start. I was going to put in my description the dirty 20 instead of the dirty dozen. Remember that movie with Lee Marvin and Telly Savalas and number of other stars, Clinton Walker. But anyway, so we got a dirty 20 to start with. And at the same time that comes out, we knew about them raiding the New York City mayor's assistant, okay, their office, right? Well, they confiscated his phone, his computer, and his records, all his, I guess, tweets and emails and all that stuff. So something is brewing. The portion of the F. B. and then I. that is good is coming out. And remember, you know, I understand, but I do see a lot of people putting in the chats, you know, Chris Wray, you know, he needs to be kicked out. He needs to be impeached. But remember, Chris Ray, he's got to swim with the sharks, okay? If he wants to catch the big tunas. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but think about it. He's at the top in the FBI. He's got access to everything. He can find out who is causing misinformation or giving misinformation, especially if he has their trust. But remember, he's the one that designated AZOV as a TERROR, right, organization. That battalion over in Ukraine, Israel, okay? He's the one that put out a report that says there was no insurrection on J6. That's why they haven't charged Donald Trump or any of the defendants with insurrection. Because that's the official word from the Department of Justice per Christopher Wray. There was no insurrection that day. Official word, end of story. Nobody can be charged for that. So we got to look at those little things that get tossed out there by people in high places that we are leery of. Lindsey Graham's another one. Out of the blue today, he pops out and declares on video, on television, on the news, I'm not approving anything until the border is secured. I'm not approving any aid to foreign countries until our border is secured. Remember what Mr. T said about him, Lindsey Graham. Everybody was booing him and Trump going, I know, but listen, he's there when you need him. And that's what counts, right? Maybe when he was going overseas with McCain, he was working for the White Hats, gathering information. And I am in concurrence with everybody as to the fate of John McCain. And we all know that he did this country a great disservice. DC, as we know, will no longer exist. That's why I said they're going to have to get Father Amorth, the chief exorcist. Okay, the chief exorcist. He's got some videos on YouTube where he's gonna have to get some assistance under him and get in there and by the power of Christ compels you get the whole thing in DC's got to be exercised. If nothing else for that, what I was talking about, that catered party that Obama had, people are going to find out about that. So I'll get into that in a little bit about Bill Barr, Chris Wray, and Deep Cover. That's right, Tennessee. John McCain is not in a good place. And another thing that really got people going, Trump posted on Instagram. He did not post this on Truth Social. Remember a couple of days ago I said, Dan Scavino's been posting stuff on Instagram. I said, I'd never seen him post stuff on Instagram. I thought that was odd. I said, is he trying to move things away a little bit? Well, anyway, next thing you know, Donald Trump posts on Instagram the video many of us have seen many times of all the shocked faces getting a mystery note during the George Bush the first funeral, George Herbert Walker Bush. And man, that's really something. Donald Trump, I thought, well, maybe somebody opened a Donald Trump account on Instagram to fake everybody out. Well, from what I understand, it is authentic Trump account on Instagram. Now, why would he, without saying anything, no comment, post that video that isolates everybody's reaction when they get that secret note? Show that to a normie. I bet you the people that you know that can't stand DJT, when they see that video and you tell them how long ago that video's been put out and the news never covered it, any normal person would go, huh? Along with talking about the law enforcement from 3 different entities, sheriffs, Capitol Police, New York Police, all supposedly Epsteining themselves. They're going to start thinking. And you repeat that this is not about Trump. This is bigger than Trump. Our civilization, our way of life, our progeny's way of life, whether the world will continue in a civilized way or totally enslaved, that's a lot bigger than Trump. It's bigger than any one person. So those are things. If you're on Instagram, share that video that Trump put up with somebody that doesn't get it yet. And they say, why'd you send me that? Say, well, don't you think it's weird? What do you think that letter said? That happened back when George Bush died. 5 years ago, 6 years ago. How come the news didn't report this is something's going on? Oh, did you hear about all those police officers, all those Capitol Police? Because the majority of people know about Epstein, and even people that can't stand Trump say jokes like something, and Epstein didn't kill himself. Everybody knows that. Everybody makes jokes about Hillary and people being Arkansas-sided. Everybody does. So the 2 and 2 will start to come together. That's right, Rick. Jeb's face gave it away. Yeah, Annette, yeah. You've seen it several times, but there are millions of people. Jeffrey, you should not use that word. I welcome you to the chat, but that will get me in trouble. Yeah, and we know posted that note video. Yeah, I've seen that video 50 times. So, but a lot of people who don't like Mr. T don't watch LTN, we know, or X22 or me or any of that. I would just get on Instagram and forward Mr. T's actual tweet, or what do they call those things? Is actual gram? I guess you send a gram. Hilarious said, yeah, think about all the potential of slavery. My gosh. Well, in a way, we're in debt slavery right now. We have been ever since the central bank was formed, and they passed the so-called amendment to the Constitution, where the government can tax you personally for from any income from any source, namely even when your grandmother gives you $5 in your birthday card. That's right, Jeb. Jeb looked like he did something in his pants. He sure did. So, yeah, this is going to make it easy for us. Easy for us by keeping track of things that are public knowledge. You know, this Judge Engoron with Trump, I don't know. Can he be that stupid? This judge is trying to get him up in New York. Could it be possible he's playing a role, or are they that arrogant and that desperate? Do they have? I guess they don't have any other choice right now than to do everything they can to get rid of Trump. That's another thing that normal people, will be taking note of. But in some of his back and forth with attorneys, he actually brought up Trump's call with Zelensky, claiming that it showed a pattern of behavior and was part of his first impeachment. What is this judge in New York trying to confiscate Trump property and disgorge $250,000 out of people? What's he got to do with foreign policy in Ukraine, Zelensky, and the impeachment, the failed impeachment over a proven lie? Maybe he's, the things he's saying is meant to put things in the spotlight. I don't know. I've never thought that about Engoron. I just thought he was arrogant, and he could just be that ugly old buzzard that's infected with Marxism. But maybe they are that stupid. But that shows right there. You talk about being able to show a higher court prejudice over issues that he has no jurisdiction over. He actually mentions the Zelensky phone call and Trump's impeachment over this civil argument that they accuse him of fraud. It's a commie show trial. And that's exactly what Trump's attorneys said. In court, in front of the judge, said this is a communist show trial, and refused to apologize. They took a break. And then this Chris Keiss came back in. He said, well, after we took the break and I'm calmed down now, I shouldn't have said that. But it is no good. It's going to get overturned. It's not lawful. He took back the commie part. But I found it interesting when I talked about it the other day when Judge Engoron said to Chris Keiss, you need to control your client, when Trump was on the stand, busted him wide open, saying this is the court is the one that's
the fraud's being perpetrated on the court and not me defrauding anybody. And Letitia James is a criminal, needs to go to jail. Well, and Gorin says to Chris Kice, you need to control your client. And Chris Kice kicked it back at the judge and said, you're the ones who control the court. That's a lawyer's way of telling a judge, you picked a fight with my client. And he's here fighting. Okay, I'm not going to punch at my client. If you want to control him, don't ask me to fight your battle, judge. You do it. So that, hey, I've seen judges when witnesses talk or get loud or say something the judge doesn't like, they get threatened with contempt. Well, it didn't happen this time. Trump made fools of them, called them all a bunch of crooks, told them that they were all violating the law, violating his rights, and would not be quiet. And the judge pretty much told, go for it. You do it. You do something with him. And he didn't do anything except take a recess. So that backs up what Alina Habba said. She said, I'm not worried about Trump because he's protected by the Secret Service. I'm not worried about him getting arrested. Well, let me catch up with the chats. You didn't sleep for days. Why is that, Nikki? Oh, yeah, B-Dog. He was sending ugly pics. Oh, he was? To underage? B-Dog, I didn't hear that. I heard he was sending it to some groups that were questionable. Yeah, I saw it, Tennessee. His wife, I talked about it last night on Rumble, his wife was mouthing off, doing worse than that they were criticizing Clarence Thomas's wife over. That's right, Gary. We don't want to give them a reason, right? They're hoping we'll crack, but we're not gonna. They're the ones that go cuckoo, not us. Jerry said the storm is here. Be careful tomorrow. Yeah, we got to be careful every day. Head on a swivel. See something, say something. Oh, you had a cold, nigga, a chest cold? That's right. It is a weird judge. I don't know if we'll be doing it for forever, Nikki. I think the whole economic system is going to change. Taxation, limits on governance. It's like Reagan said in his '69 speech. They already have mechanisms in place to strip you of everything you own, and it needs to stop. And I think that's what he was referring to. This aggressive confiscatory tax policies. I think that's going to be outlawed. That's right. Whistleblowers they're going to start really coming out of the woodwork. Can you imagine being with the FBI and finally getting to act on information you know about, like with this brothel? Remember that clip I played with that guy with George Stephanopoulos? I can't repeat the words here, but he said what the FBI is involved in with real little ones, okay, being taken advantage of like infants. Can you imagine people that know about that and have been held back by deep state people, afraid of what could happen to them, finally getting to cut loose? Yeah, well, the thing is, Nikki, there's been abuses going on for all through history, mankind, and we're we're got to be firm in the right. Our job is to help improve the world, improve the human condition, improve the chances of young people, very young people, growing up to be healthy, happy, and sure of themselves, not allowing people to indoctrinate them into a sense of they don't know who they are, why they're here, they're confused, scared. That's not a godly way to live. Remember this weekend, and hi, Roy. Weekend in the UK is a place to watch. All these protests taking place at the same time. Oh yeah, it's going to be a mess. But it's upheaval we have to go through. Jerry, use a 4 for A when you put that DEATH word in. Um, any words like that, they you got to think like a multicolored, hair colored uh, person looking for reasons to kick people like me off. I tell you what was the real kick. Vivek, talk about a plant. Talk about somebody, because I know in the chats, people are like, well, Vivek went to the World Economic Forum for Youth and all this stuff, and well, I tell you, he's making up ground for whatever he did wrong when he was younger, because he went to ask questions at Democrat town halls and stuff like that when he was younger, and questions about where his money came from. But his performance at this last debate was knockout. I mean, he made monkeys out of all of them. What do you say, Dick Cheney in high heels, and the other thing too. Remember when everybody was like, why did Kevin McCarthy give Lauren Boebert $130,000? So everybody was like down on McCarthy and Lauren Boebert, after a lot of people got mad at me for fussing at Lauren. I was not condemning her. I just wanted her to settle down a little bit. I like her a lot, but some people went overboard. But people are like, what? Oh, they did some kind of back deal. Now you know why. He gave her the $130,000 for her campaign, because guess what? Just like I said, she wasn't going to get it from the RNC. I had a chart that I didn't get to put up when I was doing my picture show. How cheap and how stingy the RNC was during these races in Kentucky and Virginia. They were not giving the candidates financial support. And Mitch McConnell did the same thing during the midterms. So this was McCarthy he had the power as Speaker of the House to allocate campaign funds. So he went ahead and took care of it, because you know darn good and well the rhinos in charge of the RNC are not going to support people like Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene or many of the people that are hard-hitting conservatives. They would try to starve them out of campaign money and even primary him. But McCarthy, to his credit, slipped Lauren Boebert that $130,000. So now you got to answer there, because you know McCarthy. I'm not saying he's a knight in shining armor or been a great guy. He's done some rotten things, but he submitted, and he had multiple secret meetings with Trump in Mar-a-Lago, and he got a lot done during his time. He got kicked out, and hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We got somebody in there that's taking names, right? Doing something else too, kicking backsides and taking names. And I tell you, I know that what a lot of you saying that something's coming and nothing can stop it is that one I call Mr. Sweaty Man, Andrew Weissman. He is crying the blues, and I'm going to try to get a tape of that and play it. He's going to be one. Remember that name, Andrew Weissman. I called him Mr. Sweaty Man. But he is really running scared right now. I heard a story about, I'm going to try to find out some more about it. And I heard this too, that there was a plan to just remove Obama by the military. We'll get into that in maybe when I do a bumble jump. But that also happened during Clinton's second term. They were going to take him out too. But that's another story that I can't get into very much. But so they settled in on what we're going through right now with Trump. And if Trump didn't work out, they had a backup for him. This is a military op, this whole thing. So anyway, folks, man, I've gone an hour and 12 minutes. Let me see what's going on in chats. The man behind the curtain on reason. Well, we're going to run the way this country was intended to run. Not where we have to fill out paperwork every year to some faceless bureaucrat. Having our heart rate go up. Oh my gosh, writing big checks. I mean, just watch what they've done with the money in the past 24 months. Much less the last over 100 years. We're going to get Trump said if the dollar loses its primacy as a world currency, he said twice, so at least that I heard, on two separate rallies, they would be the biggest defeat this country suffered in over 200 years. And our currency is being abused. It's being devalued. They're monetizing the debt. They're printing money like no tomorrow. And it's almost at a point where there is going to have to be a reset of the currency. So that's going to be the next thing people are going to have to get a handle on top of the stuff that I talked about. Let me see. Well, Trump's case with Chutkin is going to be heard In March, the one with Jack Smith is going to be heard in May. And Alvin Bragg's case against Trump is going to be March 25th. Chutkin's case, March 4th. Bragg's case, March 25th. Jack Smith down in Florida in May. So that's the 3 criminal charges against Trump, and what they're trying to force through as a schedule right in the middle of the election time, right in the middle of primaries. And ongoing is this civil case where they're trying to confiscate his property and his businesses with Judge Pervert and Gorin. That's right, Jerry Lee. Money been fake since Nixon. I played a clip where he announced to the American people that we were going to a petrodollar. What are you talking about? Motorsports? What's BS? Yeah, hit the like button. Yeah, well, that's right, Henri. Paperwork. I can't stand paperwork either. But I mean, hey, we're all required to answer to some bureaucracy. That never was the case in this country for the first 150 years, and we became a shining light. Oh, okay, MS, I see what you're saying. Ha ha. BS is good enough. We get the point without you typing the whole thing in there. All right. Yeah, Trump wins for sure. That's right. Lawfare is getting old, and I want at least silver certificates. Well, lawfare is going to be criminalized. The climate movement is going to be criminalized, and approaching young people in a lewd and lascivious manner is already criminalized, but it's going to start being enforced. Oh, and that guy that I put a picture up on Bumble when I did a picture show, and I showed you that guy sitting down. I said, look at that guy. He looks like he's sitting in the park, and he's pointing at a bullhorn. He's the guy that hit the little Jewish man, and the guy didn't make it. Well, he's a professor. Man, I had all that stuff to talk about. Turns out, let me find that real quick. I know you guys are I'm going on and on, but he is a professor at some college. Holy cow, man, I got so much stuff. Oh, happy birthday to the U.S. Marines. 248 years. That's one of the things I had in my studio that I didn't, I wanted to mention very early. 248th anniversary of the U.S. Marines. My daddy was a U.S. Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But anyway, I want to find his name. And it's I can't even remember it. I can't pronounce it. Here he is. This is the guy who unalived an old Jewish man earlier this week. There's a picture of him, identified as Professor Lo A. Ein Aji. He's a professor at Moore Park College. Oaing. So let me tell you what, if he's a foreign-born national, or if he's here on residency papers, he's out of here 2025. Or if not, yeah, 2025, he's out of here. Trump will get elected November 2024, take office in 2025. So y'all might want to check that book out. Okay, the title's in the description. I put parentheses around the last half of it. You guys might want to check that book out. Did y'all, everybody in the chats, did you get to see the Rumble video? Bumble video. And I tell you what, everything was on the up and up, like in the race in Kentucky, right? Let me tell you how I know it was on the up and up. Danica Roem becomes the first transgender elected to a state senate in the South. And there's a picture of them, they, them, right? So at the whole thing was on the up and up because you know how those people in Kentucky are? They're tolerant of that kind of thing. So all that stuff that's going to be put a stop to. All this kind of nonsense that's going on. How many more cases are going to pop up where judges send stuff back to be redone like what they did in that election up north? What was that state? Holy cow. My brain's. See if somebody gets it in chats. Connecticut. That Connecticut race getting overturned by a judge. We'll see how many of these things that happened this last Tuesday. Same thing. Well, I want to read you all a little something. I'll close out with this. I saw this on Truth Social. Bernie on Truth and Art TV put up a little meme. And you all heard of Joel Osteen, right? Joel Osteen, the preacher. Well, this meme's got a picture of him on the top. And this is what he's saying. He's saying, God wants you to live your best life now. He's got a big smile on his face. He's a motivational preacher. God wants you to live your best life now. And below that is a picture of Jesus preaching to the multitudes. And he says, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Matthew 10:22. In other words, if you stand for Christ, if you understand his message, I've talked about how people like to pretend that they can live however they want, do whatever they want to do, because Jesus loved everybody. And I've gone over that. How that's a fallacy. If you're able to communicate that no, you can't live that way. No, you can't do what you want when you want. No, no. You'll be hated. But if you can endure to the end, you'll be saved. So, just a little something to think about. We're not here for a party. We're here to make it better for uh, future generations and live in a way that pleases God and reflect on our own behaviors, our own outlook on life, because none of us have all the answers. We can only try our best. Like I said, when I was a little kid, I went to a Catholic school, and every morning we'd say, "Try your hardest, do your best. Almighty God will do the rest." So that's what we try to do from a child's eyes. That's one way to look at it. Well, the word Palestine came around when the Romans took over after the fall of the Second Temple. Back then, that area was, I put a map up. It was Samaria, Judea. It was all Nazareth. So I'm trying to remember. So it was the southern part was Judea, then Samaria, and Nazareth. And anyway, after the fall of Second Temple, um, they started calling the territory for tax purposes and census purposes. All three of those areas was just combined into a district called Palestine. That's a Roman term, derivative supposedly from the Philistines. But nobody wants to run around saying, "I'm a Philistine." That'd be like running around saying, "I'm a Canaanite." No, nobody wants to claim that heritage. So they say, "Oh, well, the Romans called it Palestine. That's what we'll call it." That's the truth, folks. I'm not taking sides. That's right, Doug. So anyway, a lot of churches will go down. Well, I tell you, Henri, you're right. Where they got was this 501c3 business where the government can tell them what they can't say, or they can tax their eyeballs out of their head. That's another reason to reject this business of the Internal Revenue Service, because they've been able to suppress churches on top of everything else we've already discussed. Okay, folks, I'm sorry. All right, Nikki, I appreciate you sticking with me through all this, and I thank you all for spending your precious time with me. I hope I didn't babble on too long, and I appreciate everybody that's helped me out this week with Buy Me a Coffee. Gary, Hilarious, C. Jankiv, and Nikki. Okay, and everybody whose name I put up earlier on the banner. I do want to thank everybody. I've got a link in the description where anybody wants to help the channel out. You all have a great night. I'll be broadcasting again soon. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, tell me to go soak my head in the comments and give me a thumbs down. Ha, ha, ha. But anyway, I hope you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.